If you love the West Tigers as much as we do, and that's an awful lot, you're welcome to come and join us in our discussions on the West Tigers podcast forum. Our forum is the #1 forum for West Tigers fans to talk everything West Tigers. westtigerspodcast.com.au/forum. We hope to see you there soon.
It's the West Tigers podcast. How good to be doing a post-victory edition of the West Tigers podcast. Steve, I had to go back to the manual on how to do a podcast because I'd forgotten how to do a post-victory edition. It's been a little while, but a lovely result this afternoon. Great to get the win. What's your one word?
Oh, my one word, well, firstly, yes, it is lovely to get a result. Great to be a winner. My one word is simple one this week, just showed up. The team showed up. That was obvious from we've been notoriously slow to start games, and we just came out of the blocks on a mission this afternoon. Benji even referenced it in his press conference. He said in the warm-up it looked like there was something pretty special brewing, and that's the way they started. Now, we'll get into this later, I'm sure. It didn't maintain that intensity through the 80 minutes, but because of that start and the fact they showed up with that attitude, it got them across the line at the end of the day.
It's a good interchangeable one word because there's been plenty of times where we've been doing a losing edition of the West Tigers podcast and showed up would have been an adequate one word because we were showed up.
yeah, it's all context, isn't it?
It is. Nick is here. He's once again in front of the scoreboard at the Leichhardt Oval, and he's got his bling on, his big tiger chain. Feeling the positive vibes. Nick, what's your word?
Yeah, got the Timu $7 chain on, the Jerome Luai. I love it. John, my word is arrhythmia because my heartbeat was all over the place during that game, especially early on. I know, I made a comment, early on in the game that we weren't playing at NRL standard. I really thought we were lucky because, to be honest, the first 15 or so minutes, I felt like I was watching that movie that we've all seen before. Like, we made so many silly mistakes where I was just waiting for Roosters to score early and get on top, but it didn't happen. So I can't fault the boys for effort. They put in a real hard effort today.
I think it should be sort of a contractual obligation that we all have those defibrillators in our homes if we're going to be West Tigers fans. So that links in well. Gary, he's got his game face on, not looking too happy. It was only a 2-point win, Gary. Not good enough. What's your word?
Well, according to Benji, it wasn't good enough, which I was pretty pleased to hear him say in that press conference. But my one word's going to be fight. I thought the team showed up on a day where there was a lot of ready-made excuses today. A lot of players out, 6 losses in a row, both our captains out, and I thought they showed up and they showed the fight that I think for most of the season, apart from probably 2 games, they have shown a lot of fight. And I think it's hard to argue that this team actually, while looking clunky and poor in execution at times, it is a team that has plenty of fight and plenty of willpower to kind of keep in there because seasons past, this is the point of the season where we start to give up, and there was no signs of that today. So I was quite impressed with the fight from the boys today.
Yeah, that's a good one. They did fight. Eddie's word was Fainu's, but I'm actually going to put a word in for Eddie, and that's Bender. I think Eddie's on the bender to end all benders by all accounts. Somewhere in the eastern suburbs at the moment with the vodka Red Bulls, and we could have had him on the podcast tonight, but I don't know exactly how conducive to good conversation that might have been, given the state that I think that Eddie is in. But good to see Eddie. Enjoy yourself. My words, I've got gritty because, like your word, fight, like it was gritty. Like we didn't give up, fought for everything. It was just a gritty win. I've got 250 because it was the West Tigers' 250th win in the NRL. Don't ask me how many losses we've had. It's a lot more than 250. We're still sitting on that 38% win record. But 250, big achievement for the club, and I don't think that's been recognised anywhere else, so well done. And the word, and actually Mike has put the same word through on the West Tigers podcast forum, and I think it's the word that really sums it up, and that's needed. Steve, it was a win that was needed on so many levels for the club.
Absolutely, it was, and I think sometimes we don't realise how badly how badly the media and the pressure affects those within the club until after the event. And just listening to Benji and players like earlier on today, they were talking how the players were saying they wanted to do it for Benji, and that he'd been through a lot, and Benji was sort of like you could tell he was very relieved. It's obviously it's been a bit of a powder keg in there. But mate, just before we move on, can I just give you one word? It's a bit of a lighthearted one.
Cheater.
So I was sitting at the ground today, and before the game, and just looking up at the big screen, and an advertisement came up for a crypto company. So they're obviously an advertising sponsor of the Roosters, called Cash Stash. So my other big word for today, one word for today, is Cash Stash as the Roosters sponsor. And I've actually got something that can go along with that. And I want to say Sydney Roosters and Cash Stash. Been stashing cash since 1908.
Brown paper bags.
How good's that?
Yeah, appropriate.
Just to go back to that Benji point, Steve.
Oh, sorry, Gary.
No, you're completely fine. I thought that was hilarious. But to go back to the players wanting to play for Benji, I think Latu's comments after the game were quite telling. Alex Twell said it in the press conference as well. I don't think there's any doubt that the players we have in the club, or at least the vast majority of the players we have in the club, want to play for Benji Marshall. I've been quite critical in the past this season where the couple of times they haven't shown up are when Benji Marshall's needed them to show up. And again this week, and that's what I was worried about going into today, the pressure was starting to build on Benji, and it was good to see those players that say they're standing behind him and say they're supporting him actually show up and put that onto the field today. I thought that was really impressive and it was really needed. But boy, I don't know whether it came across on the TV for you guys watching it. Benji was riding that win today. He didn't leave the sideline, and I don't mean sitting on the bench on the sideline. He was standing like an EPL manager on the sideline, almost like an NFL coach or an English soccer coach. And when we got that penalty, the one in the first half that Adam Doueihi put over, Latu Fainu was standing one side of the line. Benji was on the other, giving him instructions. It was almost at that point like the under-7s game where the coach goes out on the field with the players. He was that involved in and that connected to his players today. I thought it was really good to see.
I loved that part, seeing that, Gary. It did come across on TV, and the cameras kept panning to Benji standing there, and the commentators kept talking about, have a look at Benji, he's living and breathing the whole moment. And every time something happened, he was barking instructions from the sideline at the players. He was screaming at them. If there was a break in play, he was calling out to whoever was within earshot to get his point across. And that was really, really good. I think it probably helps the players stay a little bit more engaged with those instructions coming from the coaching as well.
As the game went on, Nick, he actually got closer and closer to the sideline. I was worried at one point he was going to end up on the field. He just a couple steps further.
Was Adam Doueihi looking nervous at any stage?
It's going to take him out.
It actually made me wonder, how close is he allowed to get? He was within meters of that sideline a couple of points during that game, and almost to the point where the cameraman and stuff had to go around him. So, I wonder what that rule is.
I think there is another line that's often painted there on the field. I think it's maybe 1.5 meters or something like that. But you've got to be careful. But certainly, I think we were all feeling those same feelings, and we probably would have all been down on the sideline doing the same thing if we could have. I was a bit worried there a couple of times. I always thought we had enough points, and the Roosters weren't throwing enough at us for me to get too worried, but got a little bit worried there towards the end. But they can't just make it easy, not at this stage. Before we talk more about the game, I was just going to say, just further to sort of what Gary was hitting on there, Benji in the press conference, we want players that want to be here. Nick, it appears, I would suggest from the outside looking in, that, look, I think a couple of months ago we were all talking about some body language and some things picked up in Taylan May's blog or vlog, some in the dressing room footage of players sitting separately and things like that. Like, it appears like the dynamic of the team has changed, and they appear to be, I know it's hard because it's a win, but they appear to be a well-connected group. There doesn't seem to be that division. We can't see that, at least at this stage.
I think there's a real brotherhood there, Joel. I think it's probably a bit of a pun.
Half the side is our brothers.
Yeah, that's true.
3 Fainus and a couple of Lilies. But no, look, the way that they're turning up just about every week, there's been a couple of lapses. But, Benji spoke about in his press conference. He was just extremely proud again of the way they came out, the effort they put on the field, especially, after a lot of close losses. He did make a quick comment. He said, look, even if the result went the other way, I still would have been proud of the effort, but, we got the win, which was good. And Gary, you're shaking your head. And I know Benji did say after that that he wasn't happy because, we were 20-0 up quite early. And Joel, I know you said you didn't feel the Roosters were throwing enough at us. I had visions of a 50-20 loss early, and I think I've just got that much scar tissue. I'm just sitting there waiting for the score, the scoreboard to flip the other way. So no, look, they're very tight, Joel. The way that they speak about Benji as well, there's obviously a lot of respect there for him. And Benji's only 40 years old. I know we've spoken at length the last few pods about Benji's longevity in this role and how long he may last. Look, if the players respect him enough to come out and talk the way that they did after the game, especially Latu, he's only, 20 years old. There's obviously a lot of love for the coach. And as long as they love and respect their coach as much as what is publicly being displayed now, I think that's going to turn into performances on the field. So, there's a bit of hope there. I'm pretty hopeful.
Yeah, I just want to pick up on 2 things there. Firstly, about it being a tight-knit team. And I said this a couple of weeks ago, that when I went to the team photo and I got to, at a distance, watch the team like in a casual setting for, a couple of hours. And they are really tight. It was just so obvious that they are together and they're enjoying each other's company and they're having a great time. And so I'm sure there's been a little bit of disharmony, but I think that's been weeded out. But the second point, and I don't know whether it's more important or not, it's probably not now, but Benji was at pains to say, no, we haven't let anyone go. They didn't want to be here. Now, Taylan Silva has said all week that he wanted to stay at the club, that he envisaged himself being there long term, but he put it to them that if Appy signs, he couldn't. It doesn't sort of marry up. I just get the feeling that Taylan Silva maybe wasn't as wasn't part of on the bus, for want of a better word, as much as he would like us to think he was.
Yeah, the narrative is that I wanted to stay and they didn't give me a choice. But yeah, deep down inside, when he didn't get what he wanted, then all of a sudden that proves how much you want to be here or not, is how determined you are to make it work. Like, I know we've spoken a lot about Harry Grant in recent times, but Harry Grant wanted to be part of Melbourne and felt that it was worthwhile sticking around for a couple of years to get that apprenticeship. Nick, I wanted to say I agree with you in regards to scar tissue. I find it very hard to enjoy watching the West Tigers. It's punishment even when we're winning, because you're waiting for it to turn. You're waiting for that, and the scar tissue that's there, even from the very start, where the Roosters kicked their first kick of the day and it went into the in goal, and it's going dead for all money, and then it just takes this 90-degree right-hand turn and stays in the in goal. I'm like, oh God, don't tell me. But I was going to actually add into one of my one words was happy, in that I had some actual moments of the game that made me happy, which is such a rare feeling as a Tigers fan. And one of them was when Latu jumped on that ball and ran, and I thought, this is deja vu. My God, he looks like Benji Marshall, the way he sort of jumped and skipped and took off. It was very Benji Marshall-esque, Gary.
Yeah, what really impressed me in that is I always thought his acceleration was really good. I thought he accelerated really well. His top-end speed looked pretty good on that run. There was no one making any ground on him. And I know Tedesco's not as fast as he used to be, but Tedesco didn't take anything from him. So his top end speed is actually pretty good as well. So I thought that was really impressive the way no one got near him.
I don't know about you boys, but when Latu made that bust and split them, I was hanging on every stride thinking, oh my God, hamstring, please don't snap. Like, I just had visions of him pulling a left or pulling a right and, being gone. But he made it and he got through the game. So, he had a great game.
And some really, really important defence. But we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Let's have a look at these West Tigers podcast forum one-word submissions. Peter A. Peter's word was conquered. We beat many demons today. It was a fantastic effort. Snake's word was deserved. They came to play and they succeeded. And Latu has arrived. CQ Tiger, thanks. Thanks to Gus Gould for taking our $1 million player. Rach09's word was Latu. What a gun player. Just what we needed. Canberra Tigers' word was proud. They showed a lot of heart. West Tigers forever. Blue. I turned blue without being able to breathe. We nearly blew it. This team kills me, but I love them. We all know the feeling. Kenny4517's word was effort. Wagga Tiger, hope. Yes, Tristan was good, but hope for the future. Mike's word was needed. The team, the coach, and the fans really needed that. That's right, Mike. LFC Tiger, courage. Jedi Tiger's word was forwards. Forwards win games. Tigersman, physicality. They showed it from the start. Enumerator came up with 5 words to form a sentence.
He's still in your stick there, Joel.
Only 5. Well, you've got to blame Steve. Steve was the one who never stuck to the one word. I've got, remember that, Steve? I've got 6 words. Couldn't keep myself to
recollection.
One. Yes.
No recollection at all.
Precedent was set. 5 words. Grand final. Here we come. So good work there, Enumerator. Tiger Symmetry's word was poetry. To see all 3 Fainus score and prevail over the bird flu was poetry. Nat Mac 78's word was blocks. We got out of the blocks quickly. And Mac Tiger, relief. We needed it. Loved our forwards, Doueihi and also Latu. That was the first time ever that 3 brothers have scored a try in a first grade game. So a little bit of history made there. I was going to make the point in regards to this, and it's something that I haven't really heard very many people talking about, but as much as the Roosters were weakened, Gary, no Luai, no Bula, and no Appy, missing our 3 best attacking players and still got the win. I mean, that's a very, very good sign.
Still got the win and still scored 30 points. And there was times today where I thought our attack looked close to the best it's looked all year. That Sam Fainu try, and I'm sure we'll go into a little bit more about the game soon, that was the best shape we've shown all season. It was a really nice play. The way Adam Doueihi switched from the right-hand side over to the left, and then that ball he threw for Sam, and the space that Latu and Safar created inside him, it was a really well-executed play, a block play that we don't seem to run very well. Like Safar got caught up a little bit in the line, but ran the right line, so he hit the inside shoulder. It was really well executed. And even when we scored that, I looked at it and I thought, I've got to see the replay of this because I'm sure someone's messed up the wrong line there. Nope, it was perfect. So that's one of the best plays we've ran all season. It was really good to see that without those really attacking players, we're able to execute a play like that. And there was a number of times we were executing really nice plays today in attack.
Oh, you actually said it just as I stuck my hand up to speak. But I was going to say, especially in that first half, we were playing some really good free-flowing football, for most of that first half, which was why we ended up with a 20-point lead. But we were allowed to do that because our middles just rampage. And Tristan Hope, he didn't play a game like Appy would play or even Taylan May will play where you notice him skirting out a dummy half and catching the markers offside or getting a quick 10-metre burst at a dummy half. None of that. But he must have been doing his job well, quietly, in the background without any fuss, because we were just pounding down the field in that first half. We were, at the end of the day, the yardage game ended up about even because they came back in the second half. But in the first half, we would have been way ahead of them on yardage. We were finishing our sets 10 metres the other side of halfway, more than the odd occasion.
What Tristan Hope did really well today was just nice service out of dummy half. He wasn't a threat to run the ball. He wasn't dangerous around the ruck, but he gave really nice service, got the ball out in front of our forwards, and allowed them to run onto the ball and get over the advantage line. That's what he did really well today. I don't want to criticise him because I thought he had a really good game in attack, but the Roosters clearly targeted him in defence. I think he ended up making 41 tackles, but they were picking him out time and time again to run at. And when they were coming over us in that back end of the game, once he came back on for Charlie Murray, I thought they isolated him quite a number of times. But credit where credit's due, the service he provided to our forwards today was a key component of how well we started that game and got us on the front foot.
It raises an interesting point, doesn't it, in that maybe if we look back on maybe the first 10 or 12 rounds where we had the full-strength team and we had the former halfback / 5'8", and the combination of Appy, that too many cooks spoil the broth. And, Nick, sometimes you just need a clever dummy half that just offers good service. And I'm not criticising Appy, but maybe Appy, when he feels that maybe he's trying too hard, he's trying to do too much sometimes, and the faith and trust isn't quite there or hasn't been enough there in the halves. And now you bring it back to, you've got Fainu straightening things up. If Luai can get back to his strength, which is more straightening things up rather than going around in circles, and he continues to get, I think what my point being is that as we struggle to score points, Appy ups the creativity, and I think sometimes that might stifle us a little bit, albeit we need to have the right halves doing the right things for that situation to be countered.
Yeah, well, look, we haven't really had a consistent spine across the season so far, right? So we're over halfway. Apart from Bula at the back, and Jerome's been there the majority of the games. So has Appy, I suppose. But we've had some changes in the halves, so those combinations have shifted a little bit. We've seen early in the season that it took Luai quite a bit of time to settle into the way he wanted to play too. When he first walked in the door or onto the field round one, it was all about giving Galvin as much ball as he could, and then that kind of shifted a little bit, especially when the talk that Galvin wanted out happened. Luai took a bit more control. It might be a bit the same with Appy too. I think once Appy's back and settles into the the Jerome / Latu combination, that he might be able to shift his game a little bit to I guess get more benefit out of what we're doing attack wise. So I think there's still a lot of opportunity to work on those combinations across what's left of the season. I think we've got 8 or 9 games left now. So hopefully we can. How long's Bula out for? I'm sort of getting a little bit off track.
Another 2 weeks.
Another 2. Okay, so there's going to be a little bit of time left yet until we can get our full strength spine on the field now. But hopefully that last half a dozen or handful of games we can get Bula, Luai, Latu and Appy all on the field, and we can start working on on what the combinations are going to look like going to next season. And there might be some changes coming up in the centres too the next couple of weeks, so we might get to see some other guys come in and have an opportunity there.
We hope you're enjoying this edition of the West Tigers podcast. Don't forget, if you agree or disagree, we'd love to hear your comments and thoughts on the West Tigers podcast forum. It's free to join and you can contribute directly to the podcast on the forum. Just head to westtigerspodcast.com.au/forum. We hope to see you there soon.
Look, I can't fault what Appy's been doing for us, not just this year, but the past couple of years. I'm very happy for him to use his creativity around the ruck whenever he sees fit. And I really think, what I'm going to say is, in our spine is Galvin who. I think Latu showed today and has shown the last couple of weeks that he is going to be I'm not going to say he's going to be a better player than Galvin, but he's going to be a player that combines better with Luai. I just think Luai's tendency at times to go a little bit more across field and not bite into line as much. Having a guy like Latu playing inside him or playing next to him is just going to give him that extra space. It's going to make him more likely to play more direct because Latu plays so direct. It's just going to take Luai's game to another level. I think the last month or so since Gavin left, Luai's been fantastic when he has played for us. But I really think this combination with Latu is exactly the partner that Luai needed. And I also think the fact that he plays so direct, those markers and those tight defenders are going to have to focus on him so much more. It's actually going to create opportunities for Appy as well. Because markers are going to be moving pretty quick to slide off of Appy, and those edge defenders aren't going to be able to stay quite as tight. There's going to be opportunities there for Appy as well. I think this combination, this spine that we're developing, can be a real force. And I don't want to see Luai being a guy, Nick, who feeds the ball to someone like Galvin. I want to see him taking on the line himself. We need him taking on the line himself.
100%.
We need two halves who can take on the line and who are dynamic and create space for players outside them. And I think we're going to have that once this combination between Latu and Luai develops over the next couple of months. I can't wait to get Luai back playing next to Latu Fainu. I think it's going to really be something that West Tigers fans haven't seen in a long time, a really attacking halves pairing that can take the game to other teams.
It's interesting. I was watching it's Isaiah, isn't it? Isaiah Katoa? Is it Isaiah? Yeah, Katoa from the Dolphins about a month ago, and I was just watching how direct he played and just the impact that it had on their shape and their ability to create space and get players in position. Get players in position, really. And the more I see Latu Fainu play, the more I see Isaiah Katoa in him. They've got very similar styles, I think. And I don't know, neither of them have played for any length of time to prove themselves yet. But that direct, we've said earlier in the season that we're seeing less and less traditional halfback type players in the game. Well, these two guys fit the bill. And that ability to straighten the attack and something we haven't mentioned, take it deep into the defensive line, is going to be really, really good for us. And just on Galvin, I know it's easy to be an expert after the event, and we do look through rose-coloured glasses and we look for the positives. And although you didn't, Joel, you sort of said you weren't impressed with Galvin pretty much since that Australian game in Papua New Guinea. You said that, But I think just Galvin is just so used to doing whatever he wants on a football field.
Yeah, underrates football. Underrates.
Yeah, he's just used to calling the ball whenever he wants it, and it's obvious now that he's moved to Canterbury that he still wants to do that. And when I look at it now, probably more objective than I did when he was in our colours, it was actually doing us a disservice, because a lot of that time when he gets the ball, he's not calling the ball because he can see something or he's got a 3-on-2 that he wants to expose. He's just taking it because he wants the ball. And then he crabs across field or slides across field in the hope of finding something. And sometimes he does, or he kicks him behind and he looks great. But more and more often with us this season, that wasn't happening. And I don't think that's going to happen with our current, when we get Fainu and Luai together.
We've spoken a lot over the past couple of years how we run our outside backs out of space. How we go on a 45-degree angle on the field towards the corner, and by the time we get out wide, all sides are doing is sliding across. That's going to end with this current halves pairing, in my opinion. And it's going to make where we're going to see the difference is when Bula does chime into that back line, he's going to have room to straighten. He's going to have room to use that footwork because our halves are both going straight up the field. It's just going to create so much more space for those outside players. I really think that left-hand attack is going to become quite lethal, especially once we get a really strong centre playing out on that left edge. And if you have a look at how Taylan May and especially Makasini played yesterday, there's some things to really look forward to once we're able to create space for our outside men, which I think over the next couple of weeks we're going to start seeing.
We actually saw that in that Samuel Fainu try today.
100%.
Like Latu straightened like hard. He straightened hard into the line, and that dragged Doueihi in. Like Doueihi had to follow him, right? Which then created the space for Fainu. Also, Seafast's run helped there as well. But Fainu initiated it, and his movement dragged Doueihi across as well. And whether that was premeditated and planned, I don't know. But geez, it was done perfectly.
But we match them up front. You've got to match them up front first, Nick. I know I'm a broken record, physicality, but the Roosters were missing a lot of quality up front, and I think that we managed to mostly get on top of their pack, and that laid the platform. And I worry that the current makeup of our forwards is not going to consistently get on top of the opposition or match our opposition. And I still, to the cows come home, will say that that's our biggest problem.
Yeah, it is. We were good today, but like you said, Roosters were a bit depleted. I thought Taylan May had a pretty barnstorming day.
Really good game today. Really strong.
Yeah, he was all over the place and hard to handle. And Fainu just impresses me every time I see him play.
Needs to be starting.
Yeah, 100% needs to be starting. Yeah, I'd be starting Suka. Suka didn't start today, did he?
Yeah,
he
did.
off the bench?
Yes, he did.
He started. Okay, yeah, good. Okay, well, it's really shows I didn't pay too much attention to what was happening out wide. But no, he's a starter for me as well. But no, I agree, Joel, and a couple of physicality comments there in the one words too. So everyone's sort of thinking along the same lines.
I think that the makeup of our outside backs really helps our forward pack get on a roll. If you have a look at the yardage from our back three today, they were all over 160 metres. So I think Taruva was about 160, Skelton was about 160, and Charlie Staines might have been up around 180. It's something like that for the three of them. That just allows our bigger forwards, like it allows guys like Taylan May a little bit of a breather and to actually be getting the ball in a space where we're not pinned down our own end. Those three guys at the back were so critical today and are going to be so critical moving forward. It's really great that we're able to get some decent yardage out of our back three at the moment. And I think, while I do think we still lack that starting prop, which I think is something we need to go look for. But between now and the end of the season, that starting prop spot should be Sione's. He was fantastic today. I think he played 39 minutes today for about 106 metres. Really strong game, scored a try, was difficult to handle the whole time. And last week against Manly, while I think overall were fairly poor, I thought he was outstanding last week as well. So for me, Sione Fainu gets that starting spot.
And Taylan May's game is evolving too, I reckon. I didn't pay much attention to what he was like at the Roosters, so I really can't say whether he's reverting to what he used to do there. But like for the first half of the season, he plays long minutes and pushes out amazing meters with incredible tackle counts with no misses, and that's what he does. He's safe as a bank. But you wouldn't say he's dynamic. But what I've seen of late, and especially today, he was dynamic. He was making good post-contact meters, and he was beating men at the line. I'd like to go. I've only seen the game live, and I'm keen to have a look back at the replay to see whether he had any offloads in his game that I can't remember off the top of my head.
He had one really bad one that went about 5 metres backwards, but yeah, he had a couple.
Yeah. So, to me, he's become a more than just that bloke who pushes out good numbers. Well, I think he's been more than that all year. That's not a good. That's doing him a disservice just saying that, really. But I think he's getting better.
There was times today, Steve, he was chiming into the back row line and stepping players and looking to offload. But the really telling stat out of his game for me today is he played 70 minutes today. So he didn't play the full 80. Does anyone know when he was off the field?
No.
Before
halftime.
Before halftime, yeah.
So that period where the Roosters started coming through the middle and scored the 2 tries was while Taylan May was off the field. And I think that's quite telling. He does a really good job defensively of holding up our middle. And I thought we really missed him in that 10-minute period he was off today. So 38 tackles or something it was today for him with one miss, another outstanding defensive performance. But if we had enough props, like Steve mentioned a couple of weeks ago that you could play him as a lock, he'd make an outstanding lock. The problem is he's our best prop. But he did a lot of that role today. There's a lot of time he goes to the line and he'll pass, and a very creative player, a very dynamic player, and still managed to push out 206 metres. So I thought it was a fantastic performance from him today.
I think
Josh Papali'i, Gary. Josh Papali'i for
Would
a
make
season.
a world of difference, mate.
Get onto it, Richo. He's looking for a club.
he's actually on my list here to talk about. Are we all? We're Steve's obviously in agreement. Gary, 1 year, 2 year? Would you give him 2 years?
Well, you'd have to give him 2 years to get him here. So that's my only concern is whether it would be a year too long. But imagine a lineup where you have him starting with Taylan May, and then after 20, 25 minutes, you bring Royce Hunt on for a 15-minute stint, and you bring Pole on as well. Like, that's such a good prop rotation and would take us to our forwards to another level.
And then you've got Sione and you've got Alex Twal as well that you try and sort of work around there as well.
100%.
It's a shame because Hunt looks like the guy that we need, but it's going to be interesting to see how the Royce Hunt experience or experiment works out.
Was good again yesterday. So came off the bench for the Magpies again yesterday and had what I thought was a quite strong game. And that's 2 weeks in a row where they've had him coming off the bench and not huge minutes, but getting good impact out of him and getting more minutes than we're getting in the first grade side. So I would think, and I'll be picking him next week, but I would think he's close to getting a recall.
So, guys, does anyone have a theory as to why he wouldn't have been picked this week? You know, like we've gone with Murray and Laulili on the bench. You know, like I would have thought today, you know, at the end of the day, it's a masterstroke, wouldn't we? We didn't need him. We won the game. But if you had asked me that before the game, I would have loved to have had him in that 17.
Look, you couldn't pick him over Murray today because Murray was actually picked to play as that backup hooker. So Charlie Murray came on and played hooker and replaced Tristan Hope today. So you'd be picking him in Kit's spot. And I just think with the makeup of the Roosters forward pack, we're looking for a pack that could play longer minutes. I know Kit didn't play.
Kit played 11 minutes.
Yeah, I know he didn't play a lot of minutes, but you don't know that's how the game's going to kind of pan out. Sione played probably more minutes than he has in a while. He played 39 today, so nearly played a full half of football. So to me, I think it was just a decision around the fact that we're playing the Roosters. I would have picked him still, Steve. I think he provides something that the rest of our pack doesn't. And I hope we see him back in first grade, hopefully next week. Because while I felt a bit sorry for Kit today, his last game in first grade, he didn't really get a chance. He didn't get on the field at all. And then today, he may have made that mistake, but I think he was just overly excited and overly keen to get involved. Because he hit that ball back hard and he just tried to play the ball way too quick. So I felt for him a little bit today because in an 11-minute stint, he didn't really get the opportunity to show what he can do.
Yeah, that was such a novice mistake. It was a young player mistake.
So overly excited.
Yeah,
is the wording I'm going to use.
It's a pity. Let's go the other end of the field. Let's go. Obviously, no Bula. We had Taruva playing there at fullback. I thought he got better in that role as the game got on, Nick, and he provided an offensive threat. He made plenty of meters coming up through the middle. I'm not saying that he's your full-time fullback, but geez, he was a pretty good replacement.
He was good, and I'd be picking him over Heath Mason if I had the choice between the two. So, and I know that we've got a couple more options in the outside backs to consider in the coming weeks as well. So we might not have a necessity to bring Heath back too quickly. But yeah, I thought Taruva did quite well. Yeah, he did make that. I thought it was a decision or an error with that decision, letting that ball bounce in goal. I was thinking on the first one it popped up, and I thought, mate, just catch it and run hard. And I think he was just willing it to go over the dead ball line and got caught out there. But apart from that, he dropped the bomb as well.
One drop,
yeah, which was a bit disappointing. But overall, I thought he was quite strong, and he can ball play too. So he threw some nice passes as well, and he just runs the ball back so hard. So I actually didn't mind him playing fullback.
Yeah, I have him in that fullback role until Bula returns. His positioning was quite good for a guy who's hasn't played a lot of time there. I think the only time he's played fullback before is at an international level, so I thought he did fairly well in that role today for a guy playing there for the first time in the NRL. What I liked about him, and he's a very different sort of fullback to Bula. Bula's the guy that chimes into your sweeping backline plays, where Taruva was playing through the middle. He was dangerous through the middle. He was fishing around the forwards and looking for those offloads. I think he can be a real handful against the side we start to offload against. Then I think he can be really dangerous in that role. And I thought he had a really strong game today. I'm not going to pan him for that first one. That it pulled up like nothing else. That kick was going dead for all money, and it took a right-hand turn, as Joel said earlier, and just pulled up on him. I can't fault him on that. And yeah, it made a mistake on the high ball. I'll be getting him under the high ball this week to really build his confidence. But yeah, I was very happy with how he went at fullback today.
Gary, we all know the way that Taruva plays, and we love the way that he plays. And Benji had seen that, when he was at Penrith, and part of the reason why he wanted him to come across was because he's so aggressive in the way he runs the ball back. But what I actually saw on TV today when I was watching it, and the huge benefit I think, from Taruva was the way that he barks instructions from the middle as well. Like usually he's out in the wing or out very wide on the field, but he was screaming, especially some of the set restarts, or whether it was a dropout. He was screaming at players on the other side of the field for us, where to, if he noticed we were short out the right side, he was telling people to get out and close those gaps. So his ability to bark instructions is huge, and I know Benji touted him as a leader during the preseason as well, and he really showed that, in my opinion, today.
The thing I noticed today about his play was he was taking that fifth tackle carry. Most sets when we're coming out of trouble, of course, and he'd take that fifth tackle in an attempt to get a quick play of the ball so that we could get less pressure on our kickers for a downtown, and he was pretty effective at that, I thought.
That's actually a tactic, Steve. If your fullback takes that fifth tackle, it means he plays the ball, you put your kick in, and he doesn't have to chase. So after playing the ball, he just kind of stays there, and everyone else chases through. So especially when you're finishing in the middle of the field, if you have a look, there's a lot of sides that do that when you're coming out of your own end. So it's quite common, and he's a great one to do it because he's such a hard runner of the ball. And going back to Nick's point about him, how vocal he was, I actually watched that quite closely. I sat with Steve and Rach today and watched that game, and Yachty and a few others, and we were behind the posts, and yeah, he definitely was directing the defence around. Something that Dream Buller's got to bring more into his game, but I was watching Taruva and he did it quite well today.
Good to see you sitting with the common people, Gary, for a change. It's good, and not even on the side, but from behind.
Well, we do know who was up in the corporate boxes today, don't we?
No, we don't.
That's where Eddie was today. He was the one hobnobbing around. So
right.
Eastern Suburbs, and
yeah,
he gets the invite to the plush corporate boxes.
He knows the special handshake. Yeah.
Just on the Eastern Suburbs, it's an apt time to bring it up. I went to the kiosk, whatever you're going to call it, to get a hamburger.
Isn't it called a canteen?
I don't know. To get a hamburger. $21. Now, Nick, we don't not this Nick Politis. We don't all live in Rose Bay, mate. $21 for a bit of meat, lettuce and tomato. Are you kidding me? There weren't even chips. It wasn't even a deal. Like I was looking for the caviar and prawns on the side, and it was just the hamburger. $21 for one hamburger. You're kidding me.
You see, Nick, the problem is Steve's got used to the woman with the man coming around with the tray, saying, "Would you like another one of these, sir?" And it's completely free.
100%. Steve, you'll have to take your lunchbox to games from now on, mate. Just pack a sandwich.
Pack a peanut butter sandwich.
Well, I was there, boys. I was there.
We have to talk about a couple of not so
playing golf
positive things.
He had his lunch though, Steve. He took his lunchbox to golf.
That's it. Jarrell Skelton coming in off his wing. He got caught out a couple of times. He got caught out against Manly just before halftime in that try. A few times, not in exactly the right spot that I want him to be in. Gary, have you noticed that with Jarrell?
Was defensively very poor today. I thought missed a lot of tackles. Was coming off that wing way too often. And that try, I can't remember if they ended up scoring at it, but he came in when he didn't need to. Like, there was defenders there. He rushed up and ended up in front of his centre. So, I thought that left-hand defence really struggled today. And I know I'm not going to try and pronounce the Roosters centre's name because I can never pronounce it, but Mark, he caused us a lot of problems. And I thought not just Durrell out on that left-hand edge struggled with him, but I thought Luke got caught out a number of times today as well. That first try he scored was because Luke missed an really ordinary attempt at tackle.
Well, he ran around easily for another try. Like Skelton was poor, but Lily did some good things today and wasn't disgraced, but he was given a bath defensively.
He's not quite ready, Steve.
He's
18,
not.
He might be 19, or just about to turn 19. So he's around that 19-year-old mark, and he's not quite ready. And I think he's got away with it playing on the wing.
He got exposed today. He got exposed.
That move to the centres was a stretch too far for him. Yeah. So I think we'll see a change there. We'll see a change there next week because I think Adam Doueihi will go back to that position. But Luke has a bright future, and hopefully at our club. But he got caught out a couple of times today, along with his wing partner Durrell.
Look, a big challenge putting him up against the guy that's got plenty of strike and who's in good form. So it was maybe.
What's his name, Joel?
Mark Nahasasima Pedalon, I think it is.
Noah Kanatawaze.
Yeah,
very good player.
Pedalong. What?
I'm stealing a Pooh's last name from The Simpsons. Yeah.
Noah Kanatawaze.
We went 45 minutes.
We just had 3 different pronunciations.
The Roosters centre called Mark. We went 45 minutes. We didn't mention Adam Doueihi, and I thought he played pretty darn well. I mean, he did everything that was required. I thought he played well. There's some rumours that he's going to the Dragons. I don't know. It's a hard one. I don't know his position, and I don't know where he fits. And he wants to play in the halves. I don't know how this is going to play out, Gary. It doesn't look like he's in our plans for next year.
Look, I don't think he's in our plans for next year, and I can understand that, especially now he's signed with Isaac Moses. I think that makes him even less in our plans.
Richo would have been delighted with that.
Oh, so happy. For me, next season, his spot in our side is backup halves, and I don't really think that's a position he's going to be willing to take. I think I think Taylan May is going to get a shot very, very soon in the centres. I think Makasini is going to get a shot very soon in the centres. And where that leaves Adam Doueihi is a really difficult one. Because I thought he had a really strong game today. I thought his kicking game was excellent today. And there were still a couple of situations that he had a 3-on-2 down the right-hand side where he threw the ball straight into touch. He's got to nail that one. If he hits Charlie Staines on that play, Charlie Staines is away down the wing. So it's a couple of those little execution things that let him down today. But threw a really nice ball for the Sam Fainu try and was very busy. And I think took a lot of pressure off Latu Fainu today. He took on a lot of the directing the side around the park role. And I thought he did a really good job today. But moving forward, I think for his career, it's probably better at another club. I don't think he's quite got the spot in our side, but I think he'll pick up a contract somewhere.
Oh, he will for sure. 100% he will. The centres, I mean, Starford Toa looked like he was ready to be taken off in an ambulance a few times.
I'm really worried about that.
Yeah, I'm worried about
I think he's on shoulder.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. Which is going to open up a lot of discussion about centres. The interesting conundrum is that you've got a guy that's come back from 18 months out of the game, or 2 years out of the game. He's played one New South Wales Cup game. You've got
half a game. Yeah,
you've got a rookie that potentially is sort of getting closer to maybe making a debut. I don't know, Nick. Who are you picking in the centres this week without Starford Toa being available? I mean, Doueihi, I suppose. If you've got Luai back, you've got Doueihi there. But who are you going for the other spot?
Taylan May, without a doubt. I know he's only played half a game of Cup yesterday, But a couple of weeks ago, he was asked in an interview if he was ready to go, if he were to be picked to play, and he said 100% I'm ready to go. So if he's anything like Terrell, I've got no doubt. And I know match fitness is different to general fitness, but I've got no doubt if he's backing himself to play NRL, I would be picking him with someone that can cover him on the bench. So I'd be putting Taylan in. Also, interestingly, Macassini, I've just had a quick look, turns 18 3 weeks from today on the 27th of July, so he's not far away either.
Yeah, he can pretty much play next month. So at the start of next month, he's old enough to play. Taylan May, I think in missing the game, not last weekend, he was pulled out late in the Magpies game with hamstring tightness. That worries me. And he's only played half a game yesterday. I would be worried to pick him because I'm not quite sure he's ready just yet. But it makes it really tough next weekend. Like, you're either going to pick Luke again, and I thought he was found out today. Because I'm going to assume, from what I saw today, that Starford won't be playing next weekend. Now, I've heard nothing from it.
Yeah.
But from what I saw on the field, that last 15 minutes, he was a passenger out there, and I'm really surprised that the Roosters didn't go at him a little bit more because he was really struggling out on that right edge. So I'm very concerned about what we're going to do for that centre spot next week. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up with a guy like Jack Bird playing out in the centres next week because I don't think Taylan May on one half of football, after being pulled out the week before with hamstring tightness, is quite ready.
I'm really glad, and it does the whole paradigm or the whole feeling of the club changes when your lower grades are doing well, and it's so good to see the New South Wales Cup team being more than competitive, winning games. But I'm thinking Isaac Tuitupu becomes part of the discussion this week, given he's played 13 or 14 first grade games before, has been in really hot form, can play centre or wing. I wouldn't be surprised, but I wouldn't be surprised also if Taylan May is selected. It's going to be an interesting lineup on Tuesday, and it's against the Titans too. So this is the kind of game where you might want to give somebody a run. It's not to say we're taking the Titans lightly because they always play like the Melbourne Storm against us, it seems. But I think that would be the kind of game where you may throw a couple of guys in and say, show us what you got.
Is it the Titans next weekend or the Warriors next week?
Warriors. My apologies. I'm getting in front of me and myself.
Yeah, I thought it was the Warriors.
Yeah. Well, that's a different kettle of fish.
It is a different kettle of fish. Isaac, I think, is more suited to the wing, has really good yardage coming out of his own end, is a very good finisher. He's having a very good New South Wales Cup season. 11 or 12 tries in about 11 games. So he's been really strong. I think there's a couple ahead of him for that wing spot, but if we move someone into that centre spot, I think he does come right into calculations then. I really thought Charlie Staines was really good today as well. So we're quite blessed with that wing spot at the moment. And if Durrell's kind of defensive issues continue, that there may be a spot come up on that edge for him. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next month, especially once Bula's back and Taruva moves back to the wing.
I think they've got to work on their teamwork out on that edge. I don't think you can just isolate it as a Skelton problem. Like what Skelton gives us in attack, there's no way if he's available, in my opinion, that you go into a game.
He's 180 metres every week.
Without him, yeah. He's too damaging, especially next week against the Warriors. So I don't know what happens. Like I'm hoping hope that Toa is okay, and I'm hope that Luai gets through Wednesday night, right? Otherwise we are in strife in the centres, because if Luai's okay, we do put Doueihi into a centre position. If Toa's fine, then we're sweet. But if not, we do have a gap there. I don't think we can go with Lily again. I really don't. I would be looking at putting someone on the wing and perhaps giving Staines a centre spot. That might work.
That was really poor when we did that earlier in the season.
Yeah, that's true. The other option is what was mentioned in Jack Bird, I suppose. Naden is the other option from reserve
Eric
grade.
was good yesterday again.
Naden.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I don't know. But yeah, there's no way Skelton's even in a conversation of not playing first grade.
Well, and it's really interesting. We're talking about the defence on that left-hand edge, Steve, and that left-hand edge has been quite good defensively when Adam Doueihi's been playing out on that edge. So today, to me, it is that combination of Luke and Jarrell just didn't work very well together, because I think defensively that left edge has probably, in my opinion, been our best defensively edge this season. So I'm willing to give Skelton a little bit more time. I wouldn't be dropping him at this point. So, yeah, I think you're exactly right with that, Steve.
Benji said in the press conference we played well for 40 minutes. He's looking for consistency. So where would we put the West Tigers' performance today on the Richo meter? Terrible, poor, average, good or great?
Average.
Average?
Average, yeah.
Yep.
Like we didn't. We went in there terribly understaffed, and we came away with the 2 points. We did what we had to do to win. And I was watching the Storm yesterday, and even when they were behind with about 20 to go, I thought they'll score when they need to score. Then they'll just kick deep and they'll win the game. They just win. They win the moments and they win the game. Right. We did what we had to do to win. So from that you get a huge stick, but the glaring concern for the team is still the inability to play consistent football across the 80 minutes and to drop off like that. And I do feel sorry for him. That error by Kit Laulili, that was
the momentum.
Yeah, that was a huge momentum shift, because we were coming off a try. And that we were at 20-0, and we could have easily gone downfield, I reckon, and put another one on before half-time, because we were rolling through them so easily. And that changed the whole momentum of the game. From that moment, we lost our way. We seemed to even protect our lead from that moment. We weren't playing with the same freedom that we'd played the first 30 odd minutes with for the rest of the game. Now, mate, we won the game, right? We did what we had to do. We won the game, but yeah, like as far as the whole performance goes, it was average.
Yeah, I'm willing to give us above average for that. Like I that first half of football, well, the first 30 minutes of football was close to the best football we've played all year with an understrength side. Now, at some point, the Roosters, there's some real stars in that Rooster side. Like, Tedesco's still there. They've still got Tupu on the wing. Like, that's still a decent, especially out in the backs, that's still a decent side. And I thought at some point they were always going to come looking to get us. And they were really coming over the top of us at the back end of the game. And it's the first time I've seen a side come over the top of us. And our players looked out on their feet. And once we got to that point, we could no longer control the ruck. Once the Roosters started winning the ruck, which they did in that second half, they were going through us, and our defensive. I know we led in 28 points today, but our defensive commitment and our defensive heart today, I thought was really strong to keep us in a position where, apart from the Roosters scoring 2 quick tries at the end, we were the better side today by a lot more than 2 points, and I was very happy with how we hung on to that game at the end. I thought they were coming to get us.
Just mentioning defensive commitment, Gary. Excuse me. That the effort for me that I'll take out of that game today was Latu Fainu's hit on Tom Rodwell out wide, where it looked like he was going to score on corner. There were about 4 of our defenders that came from nowhere to hit him, but Latu hit him underneath with his shoulder and drove him over the sideline. And that effort was huge. I think he might have hurt himself. I know it stung and he kind of stayed down for a bit, and I was a bit worried about that. But
I think he's completely fine. Yeah. I think he's one of the best defensive halves in the game.
100%.
Like, he hits really well hard front on. He can hit a forward front on. That cover defence and that commitment in defence was fantastic. He is going to be a fantastic defensive. We always spoke about how good a defender Luke Brooks was. Well, I
thought you were going to say Lincoln Withers.
He was a good defender.
Luke Brooks. But I think Latu's going to have a very good career defensively as well.
Something we haven't mentioned, like about that second half, the Roosters played an almost perfect 25 to 30 minutes. They had that I think we got a penalty goal early. Did we? We got a penalty goal early off them. And then they started to come back. But they didn't make an error. They didn't give away a penalty. They didn't give away a ruck infringement for about 25 to 30 minutes. And we had to slog it out set for set for set. And we had to get out of our 10-metre yard and get upfield the hard way every set. And that's what sucked the gas out of us. That's why we looked out in our feet towards the end, and we really did look out in our feet. So even though their stars were out, and a few injuries and state of origin, they played a very disciplined second half of football.
I think that first penalty goal, Steve, came in the first half. So I think that was before halftime.
Right at the back of the first half, was it? Right.
Yeah, I think so. So that just emphasises your point even more about how disciplined they were. And once again, there were periods in that second half where our discipline really let us down. A couple of times we gave away 6 agains on the third and fourth tackles, a penalty at one point on the fourth tackle. They're the little areas that we've got to start getting right. That's that attention to detail. That's that striving for excellence that we tend to let ourselves down, and it lets teams back into the game. So again, during that kind of period where the Roosters were coming at us, our discipline let us down a number of times. But you know what? It's hard to say, but that happens when you're not winning that ruck like we weren't in that second half.
Yeah, good points, guys. I think another way of looking at the Richo meter is how many wins a team gets in a year. So I'd say a terrible team gets 4 wins. A poor team gets somewhere around 6 to 8 wins. An average team gets around 10 to 12 wins. We're at 6 wins now. We've matched last year. Are we going to avoid another losing streak? I mean, it's hard to tell without the 3 attacking threats. It's hard to know exactly how this is going to play out. But if we win half of our games to finish off the year, I think that we'd be in a pretty good spot, Steve.
Well, this is the big goal for the rest of the year. And I'm sure the team haven't put the bottom of the top 8 out of their minds as a goal. I'm sure it's still there. It's something they'd like to achieve. I think it's almost fanciful that we're going to get there now. But the goal really is to play some consistent footy. And Benji again mentioned this in the press conference today. Like they said, "Are you happy?" He said, "No." He said, "Because I need to see it next week. Right? I needed to see it in the second half, and it needs to come out again next week." The Warriors are depleted. They've lost their half. They've lost their...
Metcalf is a huge out, mate.
Yeah, that's huge. And so's their front rower. He's out. So the Warriors are there for the taking if we go over there and play good football. It's unlikely. It's going to be a difficult assignment. But it's not an outrageous proposition that we can get the 2 points. Then I think we've got the Titans. And we've got the Titans again later in the year. All right, and I think we've got Manly, maybe.
We've got Manly again. Got Manly at the Sydney Football Stadium.
That's very beatable. So if we start to show some consistency, surely we can pull out another 3 wins. Surely.
Steve, I think next weekend is a game we should win. Like, I know we're going over to New Zealand. I know Luai will be playing off the back of playing Origin. But the Warriors have some... Metcalf has been having a great season. That is a massive out for them. And I think their season's going to fall away while sadly he's sitting on the sidelines. So I think we're a big shot next weekend. If we play the same football we did today, especially in that first half, I think that goes a long way to beating the Warriors next week.
But that's the thing, guys, right? That's the point Benji made, is to go out next week and play the same football. That's just, how long's it been since we've been able to do that?
To be fair, Steve, I actually think the game against the Raiders and the game against Penrith were playing a very high level of football. Out of the last month, the only game I'm not happy with is the game against Manly. I think our form stands up really well when you look at the game against the Roosters today and the game against Penrith and the game against the Raiders. I think I'm quite sure we should put on a pretty good performance next weekend. Just
stop and think about this for a moment. The Warriors have beaten us the last 8 times. 8 times in a row that they've beaten us. I mean, how embarrassing is that? I mean, That's just,
What was the record with the Roosters? Wasn't it 29 from 30 or 28 from 30? It was something stupid, like games we've lost out of the last.
I know it was 1 from 19. I don't know if there's
and
more than that.
I think all time it's 30 from 38 is what I heard today.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we've
It's a lot
been
of
on
losses.
like eight times in our history. So, and like things like we hadn't won at the Sydney Football Stadium against the Roosters since 2012 and hadn't won there since 2018 or something. So there was a lot of those sort of things today. And the longer those things go, it just means you're due.
That's right.
I don't know about you guys, but when we were 20-0 up today, I went online and bought finals tickets, so I reckon we're going to go on a winning streak.
I was going to, but I went and bought a hamburger.
Yeah. That your grand final
couldn't afford
budget was
both.
gone. Exactly.
But cost more than the finals tickets.
Yeah.
That was the humour. That was
that was the joke.
Oh, get it now. Yeah, very good.
Steve, if you have to explain it, it's probably not.
I know, it's gone. It's gone.
Next time, just paint him a picture, Steve.
Now, a little birdie's told me that the Leichhardt Oval Master Plan has been released. Now, what that is basically they're the detailed plans for what's going to be happening at Leichhardt Oval, so keep your eyes open for that this week. I think that could be coming out. It looks quite interesting from what I understand.
Is there a statue of Gary out the front?
Yes, and he's superimposed onto Benji's body doing the step. So it's a hybrid statue, yes.
Best Benji's ever looked.
And that Campbelltown situation, still no change there, so we'll keep our eye on that as well. But thank you, guys. It's lovely to do a post-victory edition of the podcast. Yes, Gary?
Look, I do have to actually mention one thing, and this is a bit of a shout-out to Jordan. I went to the Platinum Members function on Friday night, which was a trivia night, and we've given Jordan a hard time for years. Well, not for years. Well, since last year over his prediction of 3 wins in a row, and we fell just short of that.
Who's this we? I haven't.
Well, I have, and he deserves it. On Friday night, we're in a team with Solomon Sakura.
Yep.
And Solomon gave him the correct answer, which Jordan then overruled, which was the only question we got wrong to lose us the trivia. So,
right.
Shout out to Jordan.
Wow.
No predictions from you, and no team captains of trivia.
Yeah. Banned. Alrighty, and one win is a streak, so the streak is commenced. We get to 3 at some point in our life.
We're streaking.
Streaking, exactly.
We're streaking.
Thank you, boys. We'll see you for the Eddie Otto midweek edition.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys.